heroes. And amidst all the chaos that we have been fighting, as India is currently grappling with the devastating second wave of COVID-19, and you know, with all the heartbreaking stories of people trying to save their loved ones, there were few people who stepped out of the comfort zone and started helping the people around them. Today we have one such guest with us. Dr. Radhika Batra joins us. Thank you so much, Dr. Radhika, for joining us today on the show. And let me tell you that let me tell our viewers that Dr. Radhika Batra runs an NGO called Every Infant Matters. She's also a doctor at ESIC Hospital. Along with that, she was also a part of a COVID task force, which was helping people in finding ventilators, life-saving medicines, beds, and she has around 160 volunteers and helped around 13,000 calls. So thank you so much, Dr. Radhika Batra, for joining us today. You're doing an incredible job.
Thank you so much for having me, Diksha, and thank you for highlighting the work that my volunteers have been doing with so much dedication in the last 1 month. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here and speak about the COVID task force of Every Infant Matters.
Yeah, so let us begin by talking about how did you come up with this idea of COVID task force? Because you're already a doctor, you're already running an NGO. How did you come up with this COVID task force at such an expansive way?
It's a very interesting story. This is back in the mid of April, I think 10th or 11th of April, bang in the middle of when the second wave had peaked, in Delhi. And it was a horrible scenario. Everybody around was getting it. And unfortunately, my grandparents, also my grandfather was 94 and my grandmother is 87. They both got the virus. And subsequently, me and my mother, we also got infected. So me and my mother, of course, were vaccinated and we had a milder form of the illness. But my grandparents being really old, they needed hospital admission, they needed remdesivir, they needed all the, everything which was not available at the time. There was no hospital bed to be found. There was no medicine to be found. Once we got the bed, there were no supplies in that particular ward. So, we were just in such a helpless position that we were scrambling around, making 100 phone calls, pulling every string possible to get my grandparents what they needed. And that just made me feel, that I come from a very privileged medical background. Both my parents are doctors. I myself am a doctor. I have 6 doctors otherwise in my family. And yet we are scrambling around, running from pillar to post, trying to get the basic essentials that a COVID patient in today's day and age will need. So that just made me really wonder, what is happening? What is the plight of the common man, the people who don't have the resources and the connections that I have? So that just, affected me on a personal level, and it sort of inspired me and encouraged me to do something about that problem, specifically because I was in quarantine and I wasn't able to work on the front lines for those 14 days. So I just thought there's no better utilization of my time than to spearhead a movement. So as to say, a movement which would be helping people and a movement which would get people what they need, so that ultimately no patient has to die or has to suffer because of lack of resources, and no loved one has to feel the way I did for my grandparents. That feeling of sheer helplessness, of not being able to help your near and dear ones, even though we have resources, we have money. It's not available anywhere. It's a humanitarian crisis, like the news channels are calling it. So that was the concept behind it. And then subsequently, SOS calls started pouring in from my friends and extended family, because they all knew that we are doctors. And then the word spread that we are helping people, and more volunteers came up and said, "Ma'am, we want to join you." Because I think the youth at the time was very, very inspired to help people, and they wanted to verify leads. They wanted to reach out to people who were suffering. There were doctors, there were students, there were venture capitalists, vice presidents, everybody, all ages. I think my youngest volunteer would be 17. The eldest would be maybe in their 40s. And it was just incredible the way the community grew from 6 people to 165 people. The number of SOS calls grew. There was a time when we were not sleeping in the night. There were times when Most of us were up all night helping a lady in Bareilly who's stranded outside a hospital with her son, who's not getting any help and who's stranded there with no money. You know, we've had all kinds of heartbreaking experiences and all kinds of success stories as well. You know, I'm very proud of my volunteers. So this is how it came into existence, and I'm very proud to tell you that we've answered till date 12,700 SOS calls. We've arranged hospital beds with oxygen, we've arranged ventilators, we've arranged ECMO, we've arranged home ICUs, ambulances, plasma, blood products, everything, you know. And of late, we've been helping people book their vaccine slots, because that you know, once the wave had abated a little, that was the next need. Vaccine slots were not available, so our volunteers have been helping people book them. So yeah, this was the story behind the task force, and I just hope, you know, that such a scenario never comes into play again. That gives us this level of anxiety. Challenges, you know, it was not an easy time. One of the other challenges that we faced was that, you know, hospital beds were filling up as soon as, you know, as we're speaking, the beds would fill up. Like there were 3 beds available, but by the time the patient got there, the beds had filled up. So, you know, the patient's attendants would come back and shout and, you know, get a little agitated and angry at the volunteers that, you know, we went all the way, we spent money on the ambulance and we couldn't get the bed and it's all your fault. So these were all challenges we faced. We couldn't really blame the family, because even they were in such a, you know, stressful position, but we were just trying to do our best. This was one of the challenges that we faced.
You know, your grandfather must be very proud of you and the COVID task force that you have, you know, extensively built up and helped so many people. It's incredible, and thank you for doing selfless service, and thank you for your, you know, thank you to your volunteers for doing their best.
I think, you know, they're doing an incredible job. 24/7 they are at it, and I'm so proud of them. And they are so young, and they are so enthusiastic about it, and they take a personal vested interest in every single patient. It's incredible. It's magic. Sometimes I feel shocked, you know, how did this even happen? It was just 6 people. Yeah.
Yeah, we all are proud of them, and we all are proud of you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for your selfless service. You know, it's an amazing job that you all are doing right now, and we are so honored to have you on our show today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Radhika.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.